So here's the deal, ladies and gents. Let me give you the showdown. I can get back to my screen. Okay, know where it's at. I can go back to my desk. Okay.
Yeah, good job, John.
Here it is, right now. Systems of equations solving by substitution. Just as a quick review, you've already got solving by graphing. By graphing here, let me quickly give you the answer to this by graphing. I will just do this shortly. Look, when we graph this, you graph these two lines and you saw where they crossed. If I do the graph of y equals 4, here where y equals 4, I have a line. I should probably have done it in a different color. Do it in blue. Y equals 4 was right here, that's this line. If I'm graphing this line, I would solve it by doing what? Standard form, so I would solve it by x, y intercepts. What is my x-intercept? Somebody? Negative 10, because you cover up the y, this is negative, so that would be way over here. I guess I don't have enough room to do that, but I don't care about this. I'm just showing you this is what we've already done. So y equals 10 was back here, and then if I covered up the x, y would equal about what? Doesn't work out nicely, but 10 divided by 4 is 2.5, right? So y equals 2.5, which is 1, 2.5. You connect those points, and then somewhere over here, we get the answer that solves both of them. We are no longer going to do that. Well, we'll do it sometimes. But today we look at solving by substitution. And here are the fundamental simple rules. Rule number one is one equation must, ladies and gentlemen, must be solved for a single variable. I will let you write that and then I'll tell you what that means. In order to use substitution, one of your two equations must have a letter all by itself. In other words, this one says y equals 4, that y is by itself. Over here, this time the y is by itself, but it equals 4x minus 6. Down here, we'll get to that one. And if they're not, you're going to have to do that as your first step, but we don't have to do that just yet because we're going to do that. Then step number 2, check this out. Watch how easy this is. Okay, you then substitute what that letter equals, or variable, I probably should have put this into a little higher level math, in or that same letter, or I should put a variable, in the other equation, which will make no sense to you until I tell you what it is. But it's always good to have words and a visual. Remind me to look at Amazon or something because I'm here. Somebody say, what does this mean?
What does this mean?
This means this, children. Okay, first of all, this is my equation that was solved for a letter. Okay, what that means is this. Since I know that y equals 4, I am going to substitute this 4 in for the letter y in the other equation. So it'll look like this. I still have my minus x. I still have my plus 4. But instead of writing the y here for this, I am going to put in what y actually does equal, which is 4 there. And then that equals 10. Hence the reason they call it substitution. If y equals 4, then I should be able to put 4 in for y in the other equation. And then step number 3 is, well, there's actually 4, but step number 3 is you need to then solve it. if I solve this equation, what do I get? I get minus x plus 16 equals 10. How do I solve this? I subtract 16. I subtract 16. So now a negative x equals a negative 6. What does x equal? X is going to equal a positive 6 because those are both negative. Which means, and then step number, I do need step number 4. Step number 4 is that you need to use your new info to find the other letter as well. Which means, okay, since we're looking for a point, you need 2 coordinates. This is my x coordinate. What is my y coordinate? Well, I already know my y coordinate because it was right there. But we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that later. So the answer to this equation is 6, 4. Because x equals 6 and I know y equals 4 right there. Which if I go back to where I graphed it, would that have been probably 6, 4? Probably close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, something like that. That was, by the way, a super simplified one. Sometimes people ooh, sometimes they sometimes not. Okay, now this one gets a little more complicated, but if you take your time and do this, it's really not too bad, but there are a lot of places where you can go south of the equator. Okay, so the first thing you look at is which one is solved for what? This one is solved for y, so I'm going to take what y equals, and I have to put it in for y right there. And you have to be careful because we got negative signs and other things to deal with there. So one of the things I always say is do it slowly and make sure you get your negatives and your positives right. So here, I'm going to now solve this equation with that substituted in. So it looks like this, negative x minus 6 times what y equals, which is 4x plus 6 equals 14. Stop me there if you didn't get that. I know that y equals this, so I put that equal y there. Virtually just getting rid of my second. It's a brand new pencil sharpener, by the way, Mrs. Stone. Actually, it isn't.
Say again?
So that's a brand new pencil sharpener. Actually, it's the one off the storage table.
Did you order it or did you go get it from?
Do we have some here? I don't know. I ordered it.
I was gonna say, we used to have some up there, but you know, we have more supplies.
Our supplies are dwindling. So here we go. We got to do some distributive property here. So I keep my negative x. Negative 6 times 4x is minus 24x. Negative 6 times positive 6 is negative 36. This one makes me feel like an 8th grader. That's a tough, complicated equation. Ready? I combine those, I get what? Negative 25x, right? You tell me if I'm going wrong. I add 36 to both sides to get this over here. So negative 25x equals negative 50, which puts a smile on my face. Why? You will know you're doing something wrong if you get to this point. You go, well, that doesn't go evenly into it because they try to make them work out. Divide by negative 25. Divide by negative 25. So x equals negative 2. 25, 50 divided by 2. Now, please, ladies and gentlemen, remember you are only halfway there, Aiden. I found my x point, but I need to figure out what my y point is because that's what the answer is. How am I going to do that? It doesn't tell me. I don't know. This is one of those unfortunate ones where you're actually going to have to do a little bit of work to do that. Okay? In order to do this, now that you know what x equals, you have to go back to your original equations and pick, it doesn't matter which one you pick, but you need to put what x equals in for x. I would pick this one because it's going to be the easier of the two to solve, which means this, y equals 4 times what x is, which I found out down here to be -2 plus 6. If I do my math correctly, 4 times -2 is -8. -8 plus 6 is -2. So that's my x value, that's my y value. And the answer to the whole kit and or caboodle was -2, -2.
Teachers, just a friendly reminder about attendance. Thank you.
Guess who already did it? Thank you very much. Yeah, we're gonna run out of time. Well, we may have to continue this at a later point. I will give you this, huh? You have what's extension on it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Friday's done. So, with what time we have left? Wait, this goes till 25.
Yeah.
I will just whet, W-H-E-T, your appetite here. Okay, if you look, there is a problem with this problem number 4, and the problem is neither one of these is solved for a singular letter.
What?
Okay, you don't have y equals something and you don't have x equals something. But that means you need to change it so that one of them is /r solved for that letter. There's only one logical choice I would make. That, I mean, you could do any of them, but only one of them makes sense. That would be the ultimate easiest way. Which one of these would I solve for what letter? Charles? What's that? Subtract 3 from 2. Now let me give you a clue before you answer. Look for, in your 4 letters there, which one of them is already by themselves without a number in front of it? This one. Because for me to solve for the letter y, I simply need to subtract my 5x to the other side. Ooh, so y equals a minus 5x, because I had to subtract it over, plus 7. If I try to solve this for x, you've got a lot of work to do, because you'd have to subtract your y over, then you'd have to divide everything by 5, and you're going to get a whole bunch of goofy whatever stuff there. What time is it? I think I have to stop there. You're going to force me into giving you no homework. Fortunately, you do get something in the tank, I think. I can't remember what it is. We will pick that up where? When? Friday. And I believe you have what now? Me. So go do whatever. Wait, I'm stopping my share. So you guys can ignore what it says in classroom. I'll say something in class.
John, check on eating real quick.
I don't have time.